The tuning exams would take a brief intermission, as the battle arena would be cleared away of rubble and debris, and those in the stands would take time to take a bathroom break, or to grab snacks, or to enjoy any other festivities before the matches would continue. Boruto would be in the waiting area along with Sarada and Lee, the two teammates comforting their fallen comrade who sadly lost in the first round, all because of a lack of self-control. It's not too bad, Lee. I mean, no one got harmed and the damage was kept to a minimal, Sarada would say. It's still, though, I thought I was better than that. I mean, I've been trying to keep my inner self under control for so long. I got so easily provoked. All I cared about was winning. And in the end, it cost me. You're damn right it cost you. The kids would turn to see Sakura and Lee standing at the doorway. Boruto and Sarada would give them privacy as Sakura walked over to her crestfallen son. The power that you have within you is a rather chaotic one. You have to take responsibility, Metal, Sakura would say. Your inner self isn't some polar opposite of you. It's your inner truth. The inner truth that you keep locked away, given manifest in form. Your inner truth isn't some doppelganger. It's not someone that does all the things that you would never do. It does all the things that you don't have the heart to do. For so long, you keep treating your inner self like it's an enemy. It's because of that you're always working in polar opposite. It's why the two of you can never be in sync with one another, like I am with my inner self. But Mom, I thought your inner self was, well, imaginary. It was just then that Sakura's inner self would manifest from outside of Sakura's body and would be given living form. It looked like the vestige of Sakura, as if it were Sakura made entirely out of chaos magic energy. A flow of crimson aura manifest into the silhouette of Sakura, with glowing hollow eyes, and with the writing of Inner Sakura marked on her forehead. Inner Sakura marched over to Lee, grabbing him by his forehead and dragging out the vestige of Inner Lee in that moment. It was just then that both Sakura and Lee would watch as their inner selves would have a quarrel. Inner Sakura giving Inner Metal Lee an earful and multiple slaps to the head. Are you a complete and utter idiot? You could have gotten innocent people hurt out there. Ow! No, ow! I'm sorry, ow! Listen to me. You're not supposed to go on a chaotic rampage. You're supposed to work in harmony with your outer self. Or do you just have no self-control at all? For Rock Lee, he wasn't sure what he was in the middle of. He always knew about his wife's side in the mystic arts, as it were. A whole other world that he just really wasn't privy to. For one, he had no talent for ninjutsu or genjutsu, and magic was out of the question. The only thing he could ever provide were tough lessons through taijutsu. This was his wife's domain, and it was the reason why he chose to stay out of it. Because whether it be Inner Sakura or real Sakura, whenever you got on her bad side, it could definitely be a nightmare. Do you have any explanation for yourself? Inner Sakura would say, as she pinched Inner Lee's ear. Ow! I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I don't feel like you're sorry. I am. I just wanted to help him out. He's always overthinking things so much. It's infuriating. He has all this power, all of this potential. He could do so many things, and yet he continues to hold himself back. He acts like a weakling, and I get dragged down along with him. If I could have just gone out from the start, if we could have just used our powers and gotten in sync sooner, we wouldn't even be in this mess. But no, he always shuts it down. Every opportunity, every chance we have to step on our enemies' necks, all he does is just bitch and complain about what we can and can't. Ow! Look, it's not our decisions to decide what we do or don't do. We work in harmony with our host. Understand? Yes, ma'am. Good. Now apologize. Lee would look at his inner self, seeing how much he was getting scolded. But perhaps he was finally starting to get the lesson. For he would be the one to bow and apologize instead. Please don't blame him. It's not his fault. Huh? It's mine. He only acted that way because he was right. What? Even inner Lee was shocked to hear that. He's right. He's the manifestation of my inner self, of my innermost thoughts and desires, what I really want. He can't be blamed for taking over. Because he's me. Because he's me. Both Sakuras would nod in approval at this answer. I think you boys are finally starting to get it. Each of you are Metal Lee in your own way. Both of you are different aspects of a being. The innermost self and the outer self. Only when you're both in harmony with one another can your power resonate to its fullest potential. Perhaps this will be the first step to reaching that desired goal. Both Lees would reconcile with one another, vowing to try to work past their differences and be better, for the next time, of course. Meanwhile, Dr. Katasuke would be meeting in a room with his team, proud of how they had performed in the first round. You all did admirably. So well, in fact, that one of your members was even able to be given a bye in the first round. Though, it wouldn't have mattered. Even if all three of you competed, you'd have swept and made your way through with no problem at all. It's only logical, Amadeus would say. Though I must admit, that Nara boy is rather crafty. Definitely couldn't have underestimated him any further. The girl from the Akamichi clan, Jocasta would say. She was cumbersome to say the least, though nothing entirely threatening. Of course not. They're nothing more but snot-nosed brats, children that come from noble clans, given powerful ninjutsu like it's a birthright. You really don't like the ninja, do you, Dr. Obadiah would ask as he looked out of the window. On the contrary, I actually hold the shinobi in quite high esteem. Then why do you antagonize them? Jocasta would ask. It seems, at least to me, like you're always looking to pick a fight with them, especially Lord Seventh. Because they cannot see the forest for the trees, Jocasta. Each and every single one of you, all promising students, with potential to be great shinobi. You were failed by the shinobi system, all because you don't meet the criteria of power. I hate the diatribe that they try to spew to these children, acting as if teamwork and collaboration, as if hard work and training is all there is to being a ninja. I assure you, it's far more than that. There are a lot of things that they don't teach you in school, especially about history. Do you recall the Fourth Great Ninja War? The children would nod, answering that it was the war that united the 5 great nations. Yes, but there's so much more to it. No one mentions about the perpetrators of the war, and even more so, just how utterly outclassed we were. Shinobi who cling to their traditions, and yet in the end, their traditions did not save them. Their traditions could not overcome the overwhelming force and might that the enemy possessed. That is when I learned the cruel facts of this world. There is no amount of training and hard work that can just overcome pure power. Power can only be met with equal and greater power. You 3 will be such power. By the time we're done, the only thing we'll be worrying about is where we place for first, second, and third. The shinobi world will see firsthand how foolish their traditions truly are, and that if they cannot adapt and evolve, then they will fall to the wayside and vanish into nothing. After the intermission, the second round of the tuning exams would begin. Boruto would kick things off once more as he and Hoki would meet in the second round. Boruto knew not to underestimate him. This was the boy who was being trained personally by Lord 6, Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja. As Hoki would engage with Boruto, Hoki would be using the short sabered katana passed down through the Hatake clan, from Sakamo Hatake, the white fang of the hidden leaf, to the young Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja, and now the scabbard had been passed down to Hoki himself. Boruto, using his mystical constructs, would create 2 pair kunai, holding them in each hand as he engaged with Hoki. The kunai would then vanish as he turned them into whips, attempting to restrain and hold him in place. However, Hoki would be able to break free once again. As Boruto would create distance, he would use the water-style water-surging jutsu, shooting it out towards Hoki, who would counter with the earth-style mud wall. When the 2 jutsus would collide, Hoki would take the time to plan out his next strategy. As Boruto went charging after the colliding of attacks, he would see that Hoki had seemingly vanished. However, Hoki would actually be under Boruto, moving through the ground using the earth-style headhunter jutsu. Boruto would feel 2 hands wrap around his legs as his whole body was pulled underground, with Hoki now on top, ready to corner him into submission. Using the combined elements from the earth and from the water that had collided, taking advantage of the mud, Hoki weaved through a series of hand signs before jutting out his jutsu. Ninja art, earth style, great mud dragon jutsu. An earthen-like mud dragon would then appear behind Hoki, with Boruto's head still popping out from underground. You can either surrender or take what's coming to you. You act like I'm scared, Hoki. Do your worst. If you think you're man enough to try. Don't blame me for what happens next, Boruto. The Earth Dragon would then shoot out its attack at Boruto. However, even underground, he was still planning his next move. While weaving a series of hand signs underground, Boruto took a deep breath as he bellowed out, Ninja art, wind style, great wind bullet jutsu. The wind bullet would collide with the earthen mud dragon, spewing out the mud in multiple directions, as Boruto would channel the spell, the Winds of Watum, to push him from out of the hole and to break himself free. It was just then, while he was in midair, that Hoki would come charging towards him as he used Earth-style Tojinbo. He would then change the geography of the ground itself, causing multiple earthen golems to shoot up from the ground. He would ride on top of the golems, charging towards Boruto, who was in midair, as he weaved through the hand signs once more to channel his purple lightning. It was thankfully not in a high voltage situation. He wasn't trying to stab or maim Boruto, just to try to stun him into submission. However, Boruto was ready for this. He countered as he would strike back at Hoki, as he would use the Winds of Watum, knocking him back in midair to the ground. While Boruto was following behind, he would attempt to go for a strike. However, the moment he made contact with Hoki would disappear in a puff of smoke, and then a static shock of lightning would envelop Boruto in that moment. Lightning style shadow clone jutsu, Hoki would say. And this time, you won't escape. Hoki would now continue to weave through even more hand signs. Boruto instantly knew what Hoki was trying to do. Thankfully, because he had a master like Zabuza, he knew a couple of shortcuts with this jutsu. It seemed like it was going almost 100 hand signs a second, although that was probably hyperbole. But for the people watching in the stands, it all seemed to happen so sudden. First, it looked like Boruto had gotten stunned, and then it looked like Hoki was about to finish him off with his secret attack, but Boruto responded in kind. Instantly, as they finished through the series of hand signs that they ran through, Hoki running through at least 50, while Boruto had to shortcut and run through only 20. Their jutsus would match at the same time with the cry of Tori, as two water dragons would then emerge, and in the midst of the jutsu, the two water dragons would cancel each other out. In the midst of their colliding attacks, Hoki would go charging through, hoping that if he could just channel one more purple lightning, it would be enough to stop Boruto in his tracks. And it seemingly did just so, because Boruto had a similar idea. Hoki, using the cover of the two colliding water dragons, would jut out the purple lightning, looking to strike down Boruto once and for all. However, in the moment that Hoki had gotten under the water, just as it was around him, Boruto would launch his next attack. Ice style, Ice Mist Jutsu. Puffing up his cheeks, Boruto would shoot out a gust of icy winds that would freeze the water all around Hoki, trapping him inside of a cage-like of ice. With nowhere to go, and with Hoki having expended a lot of his chakra and efforts just to try to close the gap between the two of them, Boruto would have his enemy subdued and would be declared the winner, advancing to the next round. The next fight would see Mitsuki versus Amadeus Cho, wielding the Iron Spider armor. Of course, for Amadeus, a chance to battle someone like Mitsuki, someone who had only just recently appeared on their radar, it was going to be quite the challenge. And for Mitsuki, he got a chance to see something else that was innovative. Technology, to see just how far it had advanced. A clash of styles, you might say. Amadeus proved to be very persistent. The power of the Iron Spider suit giving him the keen ability to match pace with Mitsuki, though ultimately, Mitsuki would be the one to come out on top. The suit was impressive and pretty durable. That was until Mitsuki started turning up the heat, slowly chipping at the armor little by little, destroying the spider-like arms that protruded from its back, eventually destroying each gadget and tool that was equipped with the suit, before finally rendering Amadeus incompatible to continue in the fight. Mitsuki would dominate and advance to the next round, a round that would see him once again faced off against Boruto. The next battle would be Sarada versus Jocasta. For Sarada, she would attempt to trap Jocasta within a Sharingan genjutsu that would prove to be ineffective. Jocasta, a girl known as Hope, would be clad in a titanium extremis-like bodysuit of armor, with the power of electromagnetism and of lightning-style ninjutsu, able to counteract Sarada and match her power with raw and brutal physical strength. So much so that she was even able to overcome the flames of Faltane, and was even able to break through a few of Sarada's shields of Seraphim. As the fight would continue between the two girls, Sarada would come to learn more about her enemy. For Jocasta, she had always had dreams of being a ninja. Even in this day and age when it wasn't seen as the most popular of options, there were still those who had that dream, a dream that passed through with every generation. Of course, suffering from the medical illness that she did, it riddled her body and made it seem nigh impossible for her to continue in her dreams. It was only thanks to Katasuke that she had this chance. You could say that Sarada was the ire of Jocasta's existence, a child who was the product of two prestigious clans coming together. You couldn't ask for any more luck than that, and it showed in the venom that she spoke. Of course, for Sarada, she always knew that she had to be grateful for where she landed in her lot in life, to have connections to not only the famed Uchiha clan, one of the co-founding clans of the village, but also strong ties to the Hyuga clan, one of the mighty noble clans of Konoha. To have two pristine clans colliding together that resulted in the birth of herself and her brother, there were many that just automatically assumed anything would come easy for her. Except it wasn't. It wasn't as easy as people made it out to be. Everyone just assumed that because of her lineage that there wasn't anything she couldn't overcome, but quite the contrary. Only having one Byakugan in her left eye, it didn't help counteract with the one Sharingan. Oftentimes, the powers could be more at odds than anything else. It was only through her hard work and training that she managed to strike the balance. And of course for Sarada, she had never lost sight of her dream to become Hokage. Of course, when Jocasta heard such things, she merely scoffed. It's only natural that you would pursue such a position. You believe that you're more than qualified to have it. I want to be, but anyone could have the dream of being Hokage. It's not like it's something that's unattainable. You would think that. But not too long ago, my very dream of being a shinobi was at jeopardy. It was only through Dr. Katasuke that I even have a chance to fight now. To fight at my full strength. But still, you're so much more than just these tools. Why can't you see that? Because I was nothing, Sarada. Before I was given this body, I lived in constant pain and agony. Even after the miracles, after somehow surviving through the worst of ordeals. Do you know what it's like to be trapped in a body that's useless? All of my dreams, all of my ambitions, they simply died in that moment. Even the faint medical staff of Konoha, they could do nothing for me. My dreams were all but dead. Dr. Katasuke saved them. And because of that, I am indebted to him. Because he never gave up on me, unlike all of the Hidden Leaf. The Hidden Leaf didn't give up on you. You were saved. You were given a chance to live. That's something that most people could never get. Spare me the platitudes. I'm going to show what I'm truly capable of. And I'll start by defeating you. A child who is nothing more but the product of what came before it. That's what you think I am? Then I'm just the product of my mother and my father. Is that really how little you think of me? Sarada glared angrily as her two Tomo Sharingan blazed from her right eye. I am more than just who my parents are. My life, my legacy, it's what I will will it to be, what I will define it to be. You got that? The two girls would ready themselves, the crowd watching as Jocasta and Sarada would engage in their flurry of combat. Sarada would back away as she intensified her strength, amplifying the power of the flames of Faltane. Jocasta would summon an electromagnetic field to shield herself, but this was all just to buy time, as Sarada was far across in the arena. This technique she learned specifically from her father. If Jocasta was so proud of her defenses, then Sarada was going to cut through them. The crowd heard what appeared to be 1,000 birds chirping in that moment, as Sarada held the Chidori in her fist. She would go speeding towards Jocasta, who amplified the strength of her electromagnetic barrier. She wasn't going to lose here. She would amplify its strength at the absolute max and shoot Sarada completely out of the arena itself. Sarada focused all of her attack power into the potency of the Chidori as it collided with the force field. The two warriors would amplify their strength to their absolute peaks as a large explosion would occur between the both of them, knocking them both out and causing a double elimination. Neither girl would advance to the next round. Finally, there was Shinki of the Sand, still recovering from his fight with the rather crazed Metal Lee. And now he'd be facing off against Obadiah, the final member of Team Katasuke left standing. Of course, there were those in the crowd who thought that Dr. Katasuke was now about to be exposed for the fraud that he was. 2 members of his team had already been defeated, and now they thought the third would be the next one to fall. Obadiah took the briefcase and, similar to Amadeus, would don his own suit of armor. For Naruto, he only became more unsettled because he recognized what type of armor that was. It's just like his. Another potential variant. The Iron Man. To be more specific, this was the superior Iron Man. Obadiah, wearing the silver chromed suit, would engage with Shinki. Although engage would be a stretch of the words because all he had to do was stand in place. Shinki would launch barrage after barrage of iron sand, attempting to crush away at Obadiah, who was easily able to overcome every attack of the iron sand that Shinki had to offer. All he had to do was raise his hand one time, shooting out a powerful beam of a repulsor ray, made up of all 5 changes in chakra nature, merged together into one to create a new source of energy. It was revolutionary technology that Dr. Katasuke had stumbled across. It was the prototype of the first arc reactor. The culmination of my life's work, all enhanced into one. Jocasta, Amadeus, they were all useful in my endeavors. But this is the crown jewel, the piece of resistance. Obadiah will be my prized pupil, for he will be the one to change the world. And I must say, out of all of them, I believe that he is the one who will leave his mark. In just one move, Shinki was defeated. Obadiah didn't have to even break a sweat. His armor intact completely. It figures, Obadiah would say. And here I thought you shinobi would be far more stronger. But I guess I was wrong. Obadiah turned to look up at the skybox, seeing Naruto looking down at him. Naruto couldn't see under the boy's face mask, but he could sense the contempt. Obadiah felt a lot of anger towards Naruto. You could say it was because of the actions of the Hokage, or rather inaction, that his life became what it was. So he was going to take extra joy in kicking his son's ass if it came down to it. Of course, that left them to question, what should they do? Because neither Sarada or Jocasta won their match, it meant they only had 3 participants moving to the semi-finals. It would mean that Boruto and Mitsuki would have to fight an extra match, while Obadiah would get yet another bye to the next round. Of course, after some brief discussion, an adjustment would be made. There would be one final intermission, 10 minutes, because the next round of the tuning exams would be the finals. Instead of it being one-on-one, it would be a 3-way deadlock. Boruto Uzumaki versus Mitsuki versus Obadiah. A triple threat race to the finish. Winner takes all. For Boruto, he looked to the 2 opponents who he'd have to face. Mitsuki, the boy that gave him his swift and sound defeat only just a month prior. And Obadiah, the boy who represented the embodiment of everything that stood against the shinobi way of life. For Boruto, he was left caught in the middle. 2 of his greatest adversaries, all with something to prove in their own right. The 3 finalists would engage in the final rounds of the tuning exams, and only one would be left standing. This concludes Boruto the Sorcerer's Son. What If Boruto Was a Sorcerer? Season 1, Part 10. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that is to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue with What If Boruto Was a Sorcerer, Season 1, Part 11. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.